You know, for the longest time, we've all heard the same thing. Bitcoin is digital gold. You buy it, you hold it, and that's the end of the story. But what if that's just chapter 1? In this explainer, we're diving into a much bigger vision for Bitcoin and a potential solution to the one massive problem that's been holding it back. I mean, really think about that. We're talking over $1 trillion in value, and the vast majority of it is just sleeping in digital wallets. It's not earning interest, it's not being used as collateral, it's not really doing anything. This is what the source material calls Bitcoin's last mile problem, and cracking it could be the key to everything. So here's our game plan. First, we're going to really dig into this liquidity problem. Then, we'll look at why the current attempts to fix it just aren't cutting it. After that, we'll explore a really unique approach with something called Elastos and its stablecoin, BTCD. And we'll wrap up by looking at what this all could mean for the future.
All right, let's dive right in and maybe poke a few holes in that comfortable digital gold story. It's a great narrative for sure, but it might actually be holding Bitcoin back from its true potential.
See, the whole point, according to this analysis, isn't just to mimic gold. It's that Bitcoin's core DNA, its scarcity, its rock-solid security, its inability to be censored, makes it the perfect foundation for a new global financial system, a totally neutral base layer for the entire world's economy. But you can't build a bustling city on a foundation of gold bars locked in a vault.
And this is the crazy catch-22, right? The very strategy that made Bitcoin so valuable, everyone just hodling, is now its biggest weakness. Your Bitcoin is worth a lot, but it's trapped. You can't put it up for a loan, you can't earn any yield on it, and you definitely can't buy a coffee with it unless you sell it. All of this creates this enormous trillion-dollar hole where liquidity should be.
Okay, so it's a huge problem, and you better believe people have been trying to fix it for years. The demand to put all that sleepy Bitcoin to work is absolutely massive, but the ways we've come up with so far may all have some pretty serious flaws.
So on one side, you've got stuff like wrapped Bitcoin, or WBTC. But let's be real, you're just handing your precious BTC to a company and getting a little IOU token back. It completely throws decentralization out the window and creates a giant target, a single point of failure. On the other side, you have these things called Layer 2s, built on top of Bitcoin. The idea is great, but the catch is, they don't have that same hardcore, battle-tested security as the main network. Neither of these really solves the problem, without giving up what makes Bitcoin, well, Bitcoin.
So if the current models are kind of flawed, what's left? Well, this is where a project called Elastos enters the picture, and it comes at the problem from a totally different angle.
This is the big what if. What if you could build a more advanced, more programmable layer for Bitcoin, but instead of just being inspired by its security, you could actually borrow it, like plugging right into Bitcoin's main power grid?
The magic trick that makes this possible is something called merged mining. The simplest way to think about it is this. Bitcoin miners are already doing all this incredibly heavy lifting, all this computational work to secure the network. Merged mining lets them do that exact same work, but have it count for both Bitcoin and Elastos at the same time. No extra energy, no extra hardware. They're basically getting 2 for the price of 1.
And get this, we're not talking about a tiny bit of borrowed security, we're talking about more than half, 50% of Bitcoin's entire global hash rate also powering and securing the Elastos network. That's just a mind-boggling level of security that other solutions can't even dream of, because it's not based on trust, it's based on pure, raw computational power.
Okay, so you've built this absolute fortress of a foundation, secured by Bitcoin itself. Now what? Well, now you can finally build the tool to go after that trillion-dollar liquidity problem. And that tool is a decentralized stablecoin called BTCD.
And here's how it works. It's actually pretty slick. First, you lock up your Bitcoin on the main Bitcoin network using a decentralized multi-sig setup. No company, no custodian, just code. Then, boom, on that super secure Elastos sidechain, you mint BTCD against your locked Bitcoin. Now you have a liquid, stable asset you can use for all sorts of DeFi stuff, while your original Bitcoin stays safe. And when you want your real BTC back, you just burn the BTCD and your Bitcoin is unlocked. You get to use your wealth without ever having to sell.
But here's what makes it so robust. Look at this. BTSD is heavily over-collateralized. We're talking 160 to 200% backing, and it's all backed by pure Bitcoin. That's a huge safety buffer against market crashes, way more than you see in a lot of other DeFi protocols.
So let's just recap the wins here. It's totally decentralized, no middleman to trust. It's super over-collateralized, making it tough as nails. It's got that insane Bitcoin-level security we just talked about. And the whole reason for it all, it finally lets your Bitcoin get off the couch and get to work.
Okay, the tech sounds incredible on paper, but the million-dollar question is anyone actually using this stuff? Or is it just a cool idea? Let's get into the bull case versus the bear case.
And the answer seems to be yes. Things are definitely happening. This isn't just theory anymore. As you can see right here, a project called PG Protocol just launched its chain, and look what's right at the heart of their liquidity pools, BTCLD. This is real, tangible activity. The ecosystem is starting to come to life.
Now, to be fair, the source material lays out both sides of the coin. The bulls, the supporters, are saying, hey, this is the most secure, Bitcoin-aligned way to unlock liquidity. The potential is just astronomical. But the bears have some valid points too. They'll tell you the community is still pretty small, the ecosystem needs more time to bake, and let's face it, this tech can be complex to wrap your head around. Both sides have a point.
So, what should we be watching for?
Well, there are a few big things on the calendar. We just saw the PCG protocol go live, but coming up in December of 2025, you've got the very first halving for the Elastos token, ELA, and we all know what halvings have historically done for Bitcoin's price. All of this is happening against the backdrop of what could be a $1 trillion market for Bitcoin-based DeFi.
And I think this quote from the analysis really nails it. It says, Elastos is betting not on team execution, but on the inevitable direction of the industry, a world where you can use your Bitcoin without selling it. The bet isn't just on this one project, it's a bet that the entire market will eventually demand this functionality.
Which really leaves us with one final massive question. If the future of Bitcoin is to be a productive, liquid asset that powers a new global financial system, is a secure, decentralized, and trustless sidechain like Elastos the key that will finally unlock that door? Because if the answer is yes, well, that changes just about everything.